Plans for a phased reopening of the economy are taking effect in the coming days and weeks across this country. People on the prairies can expect some restrictions to lift tomorrow, and the two provinces with the greatest number of confirmed COVID-19 cases are reopening some businesses as well. Laura McQuillan is following the story and joins us once again. So, Laura, what can we expect in the coming days?
Well, if we look to the prairies, John, that's where they're going to resume medical services from tomorrow, such as dentists, podiatrists, optometrists. Also, non-urgent surgeries are resuming in those provinces. And in Manitoba, they're going to be opening up a whole lot more. We're talking things like retail, hairdressers, beginning patio season at restaurants. So life will begin to look a little bit more normal there, but certainly as those reopenings begin, you can anticipate that the larger provinces, especially Ontario and Quebec, will be looking to see what the impact is on COVID cases. Do the numbers go up as those restrictions are lifted? Because in Ontario, there is going to be a little bit of a reopening from tomorrow. We're talking things like garden centres and nurseries, being able to do curbside pickups, also car washes, auto dealerships opening by appointment only from tomorrow. Now, a number of other places as well, more construction, golf courses able to prepare for the coming season, but it's going to be some time before a real stage one begins in Ontario. There's another warning as well that physical distancing must continue in the meantime. We heard that from Premier Doug Ford yesterday, telling people not to get ahead of themselves even as they see the good weather this weekend and some of those services resuming. Here's what he said.
We've come such a long way. We've all stuck together as a team, and this isn't the time to separate the team. We just have to keep moving forward, and we'll get out of this hopefully sooner than later.
And I mentioned all of those provinces kicking things off. We will also see from tomorrow Quebec reopening retail places that have an outdoor entrance, but that's outside of Montreal. Montreal is going to have to wait one extra week to resume retail there.
Speaking of Quebec, they're preparing to reopen schools. What can you tell us about that process, Laura?
That's right. So May 11th is the date to begin reopening schools, and that's again outside of Montreal. Montreal having to wait one extra week. But we're hearing some resistance from school boards, in particular English school boards. They have some real reservations about opening so soon, being the first province in the country to restart school for the year. Some of those concerns coming from the Western Quebec School Board, suggesting that it may defy that government directive if it doesn't think schools are ready. It's going to be looking at them on a case-by-case basis when it comes to reopening schools, and saying it might take a bit longer than May 11th. Here's what their chair told us.
Every one of our schools at Western Quebec has specific needs. You know, it starts with bus transportation to the area that we're serving, to the different population. To be able to do that, all these factors must be respected. And as far as I'm concerned, if we aren't able to do that, we will make a decision, and we will make a decision to postpone the reopening of our schools.
Now, of course, we know now that children are massive vectors for illnesses like coronaviruses, John, and that's why there is such concern about sending them back to school and whether it is going to be too soon. Not necessarily whether the children are safe, because they're very resistant to getting sick themselves, but they can be these quiet carriers and then pass something like COVID-19 on to older people, especially elderly people who have been hit so hard in Quebec. So as we're seeing in other provinces, holding back opening schools again, we know that Ontario is going to hold off until at least the end of May. British Columbia will be holding off until September. So again, all eyes on Quebec when those schools do begin to reopen on May 11th to see what is going to happen to the hardest hit province in the country.
Thanks for this, Laura.